If you want to know how a man feels about you, it's very, very simple. You just want to look at who he is, how he's showing up, who he's being, and how he's showing up in relation to you and in relation to your relationship. Men are not women, so they don't function with words. Language is not something that comes natural to men, and they're not as expressive as women. And oftentimes they get very confused with the language because language is not a man's first way of communicating. Words are, action is, movement is. That's men. It's really important to understand this because when we can understand that men and women are different, we can start to understand each other better and we can relate in the relationship in a more efficient and effective way. Now, when a man is pulling away, he's telling you something. He's telling you through his actions how he feels in the relationship, how the relationship makes him feel, and also how you make him feel. This is nothing to get angered about, and we really want to remove the ego because the ego will want to fight back, will want to sort of say, make excuses, etc. So be aware of your ego. In truth of the matter is that when a man is pulling away from a woman, he's showing the woman very clearly how he feels about her. Men do not pull away from women that make them feel good and that they want to be with. Like, point blank, a man will demonstrate in his actions how he feels about you and how he doesn't feel about you. This is primarily the language of men. So if you can pay attention to this, instead of trying to get him to talk and have all these conversations with him and, spending all this time strategizing how to like win a man over, you can just assess if a man is moving toward you or if he's not moving toward you. It's actually that simple. When a man is pulling away, you also want to pull away because you want to show him in your actions that there's consequences for him pulling away. And a man is not used to that. A man is not used to pulling away from a woman and a woman also pulling back because men are used to women that when they pull back, the woman chases them. It's sort of the reason why in our environment, men have become so passive and weak. A lot of it is because us as women have not realized our worth and our value. Because when you realize your worth and value as a woman, and this is the reason I stress inner work, not from games, but really you've done your inner work. You look at your limitations, you work on your reactions, you heal from your trauma. You don't function from your head and from your ego. You function from your heart. You can actually show up as a good woman. And when you show up as a good woman and you know your value as a woman, you're not going to move forward when a man is moving back. You're just going to assess and observe his actions. You're going to think, okay, well, this is interesting. If this man really wanted to be with me, he would close that gap in and he would do whatever he could to move the relationship forward. Point blank, period. That's it. There's no excuses for men. If something went on in the dynamic and let's say you were not making the man feel good, you were emotionally reactive, you were not, being patient with him when he needed patience, you were not being supportive, you were putting a lot on him and you were a burden in the relationship. Yes, maybe that's something you need to look at. And if that is the case, you don't want to take the stance I'm taking as you also pull back, because in situations like that, you want to take ownership and you want to take accountability. Ownership and accountability is extremely attractive to people that are healed and are growth oriented. And so if I'm saying that you want to recognize your value as a woman when a man pulls away, I am not saying not to take ownership for your role in the relationship and your role in him pulling back. So it's always important, it's always important to be self-aware in these videos, because of course in a 10-minute video, I can't express everything I want to express. That being said, it's really important that when a man is pulling away, you take that to mean that maybe there's something in the dynamic that didn't feel good to him. And first of all, you want to look at that. You want to look at, did I do something in this relationship? Was I showing up as the best version of myself as a woman? And if I was, and there's nothing I can do, and this man has cold feet, or this man is unsure about the relationship, or this man is an ego, then you also want to pull back. Never, ever, ever fill in the gap for a man. Ever. Never, ever do that. Because I can tell you that the right man for you is going to overcome what he has to overcome to be with you. Period. Men are designed to hunt. Men are designed to be strong. Men are designed to move toward the woman that they want to be with and marry. And men are designed to fight off any threat that is in their DNA. It's encoded in their DNA. So a lot of men have forgotten their role and function as a man, and primarily because they end up in relationships with women that are very easy. And straight up, that is what it is. When a woman meets a man, and she gets so excited about the man, and she sleeps with the man, she gives her body away, she buys a house for a man, she just makes it so easy for a man. Men get conditioned to expect that from good women, and good women are not going to do that. A good woman is going to hold space for a man to be a man, and that is just the truth of it. So because men have been conditioned to be with women that make life so easy for them, their ego has really taken the front and driver's seat. And so when a woman is, has standards in a relationship or wants certain things, even if a man knows that this is the woman for me, sometimes his ego will get in the way. And as a woman, you never want to close that gap in for a man if you've been good in the relationship. You want to instead take note and take the cue that this man is not interested in me, this man does not want to make me his wife, this man is not interested, and you want to get up and move your life forward. You never ever want to close in on a man, and you really want to understand that if a man is not doing what he needs to do to take a relationship to the next step, and that's whatever stage you're in, after having looked at yourself, because again, if you are a woman that is just consistently reactive, you are like not pleasurable to be around, and you're always getting mad at a man, this is not going to apply to you, because a man is showing you that he's pulling away from you because you don't feel good to him. And this can be triggering, or you can look at it. This is the reason I stress inner work. You have to do your role to expect a good man. You can't expect a good man if you are not showing up as a good woman. You can't. And so if you also are in your ego, and when I'm saying these messages to you, you're inflating your sense of self and saying, yeah, he needs to chase me, etc., it's never going to happen, and you're never going to find a man that is whole, complete, and healthy and evolved that's going to chase you, because men that are evolved are not looking for a woman that's in their ego. Men that are evolved want a woman that's in her self-worth and has standards and has dignity and self-worth, and that is not going to fill in the gap for him when he's being he's not being his best self, or he's an ego, or he has fear. He wants that, but he definitely does not want to be with a woman that is arrogant for no reason. So you have to really pay attention to your own role, and you have to self-inquire and see what role you played in the relationship. If a man is pulling away, the first thing you need to do is step back. You don't want to move toward someone that is pulling away from you, because if someone is pulling away from you, there's a reason for that. Man or woman, if someone is pulling away from you, it's showing you that there's something in the dynamic or something within you that is creating an uneasy feeling in them. And maybe they've communicated and you've not listened to it, or maybe they haven't, and just in their actions they're showing you that it's not safe to come towards you. Oftentimes people will pull away and won't communicate why they're pulling away, because in the past they've told you the reasons why it might not feel safe in the dynamic, or it might not be safe with you, but you've not listened, and maybe you've overreacted, maybe you've turned things around, maybe you've gaslighted. This is internal work that you need to look at within yourself. And so if they've said certain things to you and you've not paid attention to those messages, the next recourse that they're going to do, if they love themselves, is they're going to pull back, they're going to pull away. And if you try to move towards someone that is pulling away from you, you are showing a lack of respect for them and a lack of respect for yourself as well. So even if you were in the wrong in this situation, you don't want to approach that person again without taking some sort of ownership for your role and why they've pulled back. If someone pulls away from us, we're creating a feeling within them that is disheartening or heavy. It's a feeling that they are getting, whether we like it or not. So again, you really want to pay attention to ego versus heart, right? You want to pay attention to why someone is pulling away, especially if earlier on in the relationship or at a certain point in the relationship, they were moving towards you. So if at some point in the relationship, they were everything that you wanted, they were your dream person, and now they've pulled away, they aren't answering your calls, they don't want to be in the dynamic anymore, they're maybe ignoring you, and they're very upset in the way that you're showing up, let's say, and they've communicated it. And now you want to look at, well, if they were acting a certain way in the beginning or at some point, and now they're not acting a certain way toward me and they're actually acting the opposite, unless this person is a monster, which people really aren't monsters, what am I doing or what did I do to create this sort of pullback from them? So before you pull in and you react, right? Because again, self-awareness is taking a breath and looking at oneself. It's self-inquiry. You want to ask yourself, what could I have done to make this person feel threatened and like not want to be in my company anymore? Once you've come into this awareness within yourself, then yes, you can, reach out to the person and totally take accountability and ownership for your role in them pulling back. If you don't want a relationship with this person, you don't need to do that. But I recommend self-inquiry regardless, because even if you're not going to be with this person, you're going to be with another person. And the only way that we grow is if we look at our own behaviors. If we don't look at our own behaviors, we are doomed to replay these behaviors. So my work and my courses, my books are designed to give you a lot of awareness. Without awareness, you're in the dark. That means that you are playing out behaviors from your subconscious and from your shadow. And if these behaviors are not looked at, you're going to replay these behaviors regardless. Now, it's really difficult to break patterns and to break conditioning. So even once you have the awareness, you'll likely commit the same behavior again. That's okay. There's a lot of conditioning and trauma. But the main thing that we want to look at is have the awareness that, oh, maybe I am doing this, maybe I am overreactive, maybe I am being defensive, maybe I am doing this, and what can I do now to work on this because I don't want to lose this person, or even if this person isn't the one for me, I don't want to bring this pattern into my next relationship, because if I have a pattern of people leaving me or something not working out, then it must be me. It can't be the other person. And if you have been a good woman or a good man in the relationship and this person is pulling away, trust that it's not the right relationship and definitely do not move toward that person. I always say that when someone is pulling away from us, there's always a reason for that. And aside from taking accountability and ownership from our part, and when we do recognize we have some sort of fault there and like taking accountability and moving toward them, we want to respect people's spaces. We want to respect people's boundaries. And it's very narcissistic. And again, it's a narcissistic behavior to not listen and respect another person's boundaries, even if it's uncomfortable for us, even if it's not something that we want. A healthy person does not overstep on another person's boundaries. That's extremely it's a narcissistic trait to do that, right? Because narcissists don't care about other people. They just care about themselves, and all they want to do is get a reaction out of you, right? And so if you are doing that, if someone is pulling away from you and you are pestering them and calling them all the time and you're putting them down and you're doing whatever you can to get a reaction out of them, and maybe it's well-intentioned, maybe you miss them, maybe you feel hurt, that's still a very narcissistic trait, because it's impeding on someone else's boundaries. And so you really want to learn to self-regulate, go to a therapist, go to a coach, figure out what your patterns are so that you can work through that, so that you're not entering with these patterns in the next relationship. Because I can tell you, that which goes unhealed is going to show up again and again and again.